moving out, gonna see exactly what TLO is up to. TLO is gonna be moving out, and he calls a pause. So TLO gonna be pausing the game for just a second here. Okay, so it looks like we're even having some lag as well from some of the spectators in this matchup. I'm gonna be pausing myself as I sip a little bit of my Arizona green tea. Ooh, that's tasty. So, oh, a little bit of calm down right there, but you guys know what? It looks like the action is about to occur right here as TLO is pretty much, looks like he's going to move out with this army. I'm just kind of trying to interpolate what could happen when TLO returns. And WhiteRa, of course, has these stalkers here. The nice thing is right now WhiteRa has an observer out, and so he can blink up the cliff if he wants to. And we might very well see WhiteRa try to do that with that observer spawning on the high ground above. And here we go, TLO returns, the pause has been removed, the observer actually spawning for the high ground as I called it, the stalkers blinking up, gonna destroy that tech lab, or at least I think it was a tech lab. The siege tank survives. Oh my goodness, WhiteRa, a little bit of mismanagement there, could have killed that siege tank with one more shot, but he neglects to do that and blinks downwards. Meanwhile, we have Kaidaran Amulet being chrono boosted on the way, and so any more Templars that warp in from here on out are gonna have the full energy to Psystorm right away. The stalker's gonna make their way up, might even snipe out this siege tank. Siege tank cannot fall back, getting stuck by his own units. That's gotta suck right there, betrayed by his own Terran army. But anyways, here we go. Looks like Germany is going to start moving out from the north right here, controlled of course by TLO. WhiteRa from Ukraine going to be moving into position to possibly deflect this Terran counterattack. And it looks like somehow TLO has been able to build up a pretty sizable army, even pulling off his slave labor on the way as well. Those SCVs not really wanting to be where they are right now. That is not a safe place to be in the midst of the battle, but the Stalkers blinking up there, and the Psystorm being laid down by the High Templars. Carpet Storm over that Terran infantry ball. And the siege tanks getting focus fired down. At least one of them was. This siege tank should go down as well. There it goes. And the Zealots, of course, getting up in the mix. But TLO from Germany with great micro is able to hold off all of the Zealots. And the Zealots all fall. All that's left for WhiteRa right now is a couple of Stalkers and a few newly morphed in Zealots. So somehow TLO is able to recontrol ground. He was able to push out miraculously and has now established a position, a frontal position, aggressive, right on WhiteRa land. And so the tables have once again turned in this first game between the best of 7 series of these two players. And here we go. Looks like WhiteRa able to macro up a pretty large army. Where is charge for Zealots? Just being researched right there, just as I called it. And the Zealots just kind of charged in there for ire and took everything out. And so the siege tanks getting pushed away. Now the Marauders are going to have a very hard time against those charge lots. You just cannot micro. It is very difficult against charge lots, and that siege tank gets taken out as it looks like WhiteRa not remacroing just nearly as well and is going to be forced to fall back, or actually just lose all of his units. That Stalker right there just blinked into like a dead end. But wow, this game has just been back and forth action thus far. Look at how many warp gates WhiteRa is fielding in the center of the map right now. Also getting in some Immortals and warping in another Nexus up at the 2 o'clock position. I really like how he's getting Immortals right now because he needs that to deal with these siege tanks. And you guys can kind of see how the tech has switched from ground A to ground Z where we are right now. At first it started out with kind of Stalkers only from the Protoss player, and then we had TLO, of course, getting this Marauder kind of ghost build, and then he saw that it was mass Stalkers, so he went siege tanks. Now that he's got siege tanks, the Protoss player is getting more Immortals, and so you guys can see how all the players are switching their composition to deal with these armies as best as they can. Now we do have a Warp Prism out there, and of course Stargate being morphed in. We do have weapons level 1 on the way as well. 4 High Templars getting loaded up into this Warp Prism, and it looks like WhiteRa is going to be looking to do some drop action. And the nice thing about Warp Prism is once you drop those High Templars off, you can deploy it and warp in more units. So it's an extremely deadly harass unit. Gonna be flying right by the 3rd base of TLO at that 8 o'clock location, but he is gonna drop these High Templars off at the gold, gonna get a massive storm off, and all of these SCVs gonna go down. TLO reacting just a little bit late, saves a couple of his SCVs though, and it looks like WhiteRa is just gonna go ahead and deploy and warp in 2 Zealots for cleanup duty. call in the janitors to mop up the dirty work, but it looks like TLO gonna fall back to defend that expansion. But meanwhile, the Warp Prism going up to the natural expansion. Do the Templars have energy? None of them have energy. They are all short right now, but the Warp Prism is deployed. We might possibly see, yeah, we're gonna see some Stalkers being morphed in, and of course they have that mobility to blink downwards. But look at this, TLO is saying, enough of this, screw it, I'm just gonna go for an attack, but he walks into a wall of Storm and Charge Lots, and TLO trying to fall back and siege up his tanks, but the Storm just obliterating the Terran army with the Immortals from behind, and it looks like TLO is just gonna lose his entire army at the center of the map as WhiteRa is just raging destruction at the mineral line where his natural is. WhiteRa even morphing in some Archons right now. Oh my goodness, I'm not even sure if WhiteRa stormed it there. I don't think he did, because there's still too many SCVs there alive. But here we go, the Archons getting picked up to do the work on the ground, with the Stalkers are firing up from the top of the air. And you guys can see on the production tab, WhiteRa is just so confident right now. He's not even producing anything. He's focusing purely on micro of this harass, but he's doing so well. That Archon has 10 kills, and look at that. We have a mothership on the way for WhiteRa. WhiteRa chrono boosting a mothership on that production tab. TLO desperately trying to hold on. His income at 49 harvesters under 77. His army 85 under 177. Oh my goodness, this is such a bad position for TLO to be in. And could we see another heartbreaker match where WhiteRa just dominates TLO? 4-game sweep? I sure hope not, but it's not looking too good in this first game as more forces falling down and a Psystorm over a very nice clump of Terran units. WhiteRa is just doing damage. He's doing work on TLO's economy. TLO has no income right now, nearly nothing. And the player from Germany is quickly falling to the player from Ukraine. WhiteRa is just handling TLO right now, and it's going to take nothing short of a miracle at this point, I think, for TLO to get back into this game. Some Zealot tier 1 versus tier 1 action over there at that expansion, and you guys can see TLO's got a small size army, 100 under 149. He's got enough harvesters to get his economy back on track, but the thing is, he's just so far behind right now, and a Protoss player with this many warp gates is so powerful. It is so hard to stop. You might be able to kill off their entire army, but hey, they just warp in everything back up, and it's just like macro crazy. You just can't do anything about it. And it looks like these charge lots, they could have went for the siege tanks, but they're gonna get shelled away by those tanks. And of course, TLO is just desperately hanging in this game by a thread. There is the mothership warping in over the gold, and that has got to be the pinnacle, the epitome of the Protoss army. That is going to be like the leading charge for the Protoss victory here today if WhiteRa should win. And of course, TLO trying to save this third expansion. It's all he's got that's fully capable of mining, and so he's trying to save that up. He does have a gold as well, actually. So currently both players at 4 bases, but of course the harvester count for WhiteRa is just so much higher. And look at this, we have an we have an SCV drilling away at that High Templar. The SCV's like, no man, I don't want to mine 5 minerals a day. I want to kill High Templars, and he is gonna kill that High Templar. Epic SCV right there. Somebody reward him. But Jesus criminy, look at how many warp gates we have up in the main for that Protoss player. That army at the center of the map, of course, being cloaked by the New School Arbiter, and there's just not much. TLO scans that and he's like, no, I don't want to mess with that, but he is gonna siege up, gonna try to hold last stand. This is the Alamo right here for TLO, and it doesn't look like it's gonna end the way it should, as TLO is gonna GG out of game number 1. And of course, this is going to be a live broadcast, so we're gonna move straight into game number 2. And I hope you guys enjoyed that broadcast, brought to you guys by HD, and make sure to subscribe if you guys like